Who's taking minutes?
Why are you looking at the woman?
I didn't look at you. Harry, you're taking minutes.
No, I'm
I'll
not.
take minutes. It's fine. Let me get paper.
That was good. You do a good job, Ron.
You ready, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's already going.
Okay, thank you. Meeting called to order at 6:11 p.m. Today's September 19th, 2024. This is the executive board meeting at Bronx Community Board 11. Let's do introductions. My name is Rich Reynoso, Vice Chair.
Harry Santiello, Sergeant at Arms.
Veronica Castro, treasurer.
Cynthia Rodriguez, Chair.
Yes.
And I think that says Hazel's not on yet.
Oh, okay.
And we have staff here, Jeremy.
All right. So next item is review of meeting minutes. I don't think we have that.
No, right.
No. Okay.
It's not linked on the agenda, right?
No.
Okay, so no.
Okay. Next, review of borough board meetings. Do we have that? No?
So
Yeah, so hold on, just to be clear, apparently the agenda, the most up-to-date agenda was not published online. So, yeah, I mean, we can cover those subjects, but for whatever reason, they weren't published.
Oh, we have them?
What's that?
Do we have them? Can we discuss them if?
Yeah, I mean, technically no. But you know, business, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't differ too much. It was more details that were filled out.
Okay.
Yeah, but compared to what's online, so what's online is introductions, review mini minutes. I know Cynthia and Hazel did give us some minutes from July. We got to publish them. I think Harriet might have done them too, but Harriet's been out, so I don't know exactly where those are. And then the next thing that was online was on the CB11 bylaws. So I don't know if you want to go into that, Cynthia, Rich.
So just to clarify, in terms of meeting minutes, I know that there is an issue with getting us up to date on minutes. A conversation that I had with Jeremy was about kind of starting off with a clean slate for this term, with this particular leadership, so that we can move forward and get minutes in on time. And as time allows, we'll continue to work on catching up to the other minutes. But I think I just want to start out fresh with us and get things in order that way, and, you know, try to catch up as we can. Thoughts, questions?
That works
Yes,
with me.
that'll work,
Yeah.
Veronica.
That's a great idea.
No, I agree.
I think we're in agreement.
Yeah, and for staff, I feel like it takes a little bit of pressure off on us because there's a lot that we're behind on, obviously.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, long story short, great idea.
Okay. So for the borough board meetings, do we want to discuss that at all, or do you want to leave to new business?
Yeah, we could shove it down to it's up to Cynthia. Ultimately, Cynthia, it's your meeting.
Well, I mean, I know that the borough, that was the one that was canceled for for Monday, right?
Yeah, it's really, you know, remember I talked to you yesterday about putting on the agenda just so people are aware that there's this meeting once a month. And then if you're not able to go, you're going to ask you're going to go, you know, go down the line, starting with Rich down and ask them to attend in your stead. So it's really just putting the rest of the executive board on notice about one of the responsibilities as chairperson is attending the borough board every month, which is separate from the borough cabinet, which is a meeting I am responsible for going to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if everyone else is okay with that, one of the things that Tom Lucania mentioned is that we can send a letter with the names of the officers who might be able to stand in when I'm unable to attend, so that that way they have it on file and we don't have to do it, as it happens in real time. Does that
And
make
we already have a letter from when Veronica was acting chair and Malcolm went in her stead. So we can just update it in regards to everybody else. It's pretty standard letter we have.
Sounds good.
I'll call you back. I'll call you back.
next?
Yep, okay, we're gonna move on. So item number 4, disbandment of all non-standing committees except bylaws. I'll open this up for discussions. Or Cynthia, do you want to give a brief intro about it?
Sure. I mean, we have a few non-standing committees. We've got the nominations committee, we've got social media, DEI, and bylaws. I know Veronica and I had a conversation in the past, Jeremy and I, Sandy and I, about disbanding all of them except for bylaws. Bylaws obviously is a committee we still need on board, at least for the time being. So just putting that out there about disbanding those other committees.
So opening it up for discussions, thoughts, questions.
No, I think it's fine to disband them because
Yeah, I'm good.
they're not even meeting, to be honest. So it's just, to me, they're just empty space. We might as well disband them and use
The
that
bodies.
committee members for some
Other
other things
stuff.
that we really need.
I'll second that one.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say them out loud for the record. So we have City of Yes, DEI, what
Social
about social media? Okay,
nominating,
social media, nominating, what else?
I think it's those 4.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So all except bylaws.
Yep.
Okay, so
Can we take over? Can we?
I make a motion to disband all non-standing committees except bylaws.
Second.
And we
Do you
should
want to wait?
after
sorry.
the galleries.
Yeah, do you want to wait till after the gallery?
I do motions at the end.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, they're listed as right after the gallery,
Okay.
so just keep it in mind and then we'll do the motions after.
okay, sounds good. Got it. All right. Motions not on committee meeting agendas. Item number 5.
So recently we had, Transportation Committee had a meeting and, there was a last second motion, during, I believe it was new business, which was passed by the committee. And, there have been questions as to whether or not that was a legal motion or not. We did pose that question to Kristen O'Neill when she came to ethics to present on open meetings. And that was not an illegal motion. In other words, it's okay to do that. So it was just a discussion for us to have because now there are questions as to whether or not to move forward with the motion because there's this
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah, we got a complaint, and I believe Cynthia, you pointed out the other day that Parks did something similar, Parks Committee.
Yes, Parks did do something similar with a last minute motion during the committee meeting that did pass. Additionally, we had transportation that also in a prior meeting had a motion as well that passed. So I'm not 100% sure what the issue is, whether it was the motion itself or the procedural part of the motion.
Yeah.
So we legal then?
I think, adding to what Cynthia discussed, so normally we have the motions on the agenda, but theoretically, you can wait for new business and say, oh, I want a motion to do this and pass something. So
that.
no, they did, but I think what folks wanted a warning. They want to see it on the agenda. So we asked, our local contact when we had the ethics committee to see if that was legal or illegal, and they said it's fine. You can legally do that. So yeah, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, later.
But I mean, I think the other thing to remember, and Cynthia's pointing this out too, is that if not other people, is that so it's made in committee, it still has to go to the full board. It's not.
You're
final.
right. Yeah, you're right.
And the public will definitely have more opportunity to speak at the full board. I mean, there was talk about withdrawing the motion in committee. The committee still couldn't do that. You know, I figured we'll talk about this more at leadership. Am I wrong or right about that, Cynthia?
It's a-
Yeah.
okay.
No, maybe she had to step away.
No, Yeah, she said, yeah, she died.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't. I was looking at the agenda.
You.
So
And
I
you-
have a
yeah.
question, just to clarify a little bit, because I'm sorry, I haven't watched the ethics committee meeting yet.
Mhm.
Was it a motion that was made on something that was brought up by a community board member or by a private public?
Was a community board member and a committee member.
Okay.
That wasn't the case for the Parks
Correct.
Committee meeting, right? That was a member of the public who brought something up.
Yes.
And was that the same case with the previous transportation? Was that a member of the public or was it a member of the
Member of
committee?
the public.
I mean, if it was under new business and it wasn't listed, because it wasn't a motion that was gonna be put forth at that time, maybe it was something that was decided. Again, I didn't watch the meeting where it happened yet, but I can see why the public might be a little upset, but again, they have a chance at the full board meeting to voice any opposition they have to it. Just because the committees make a certain recommendation doesn't mean that the full board in general is gonna pass it.
Correct.
So if they have objections to it, they can bring it up at the full board.
Well, just for the record, we did get a complaint from a member of the public about the Parks Committee meeting motion. Similar to the one about transportation, about the public not. I forget the exact details, but something along those lines.
Can I interject for just 1 second, guys, if you don't mind?
Sure.
I'm interjecting because, you know, I've gotten a few phone calls. It has nothing to do about how the procedure went. It has to do with the fact that it was proposed and right away it was voted and it passed without having the input of the area in which people are affected, the residents in the area. So basically the complaint had nothing to do with procedure. It had to do about the input of the people and residents in which the issue was occurring or it would occur in the future. Meaning that you cannot just put a proposal and just because it was proposed by one of the members of the board and then hallelujah, let's vote it, yes, 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 and nothing like that. The
What
whole
would-
point is about people getting a little bit more information, the same thing that we do with economic development.
So quick question, Chris. Was there no motion, there was no motion to discuss? Is that what you're saying? It was just voted on?
It was no discussion whatsoever. It just was proposed and right away it passed.
What was it?
Well,
What
we
was
have-
the motion?
Ryan is online. Ryan, if you'd like to address it.
Well,
The thing I wanted to address, sorry, Jeremy, for cutting you, but Rabbi and so there can be a discussion on the wider issue, but Rabbi and Hazel both expressed their desire to just talk about it again in October so that these concerns can come out. Yeah, I mean, I got other things to say on it, but I don't think we need to get bogged down in the specifics of it.
So I'll share my thoughts, just to respond to Chris. I think that part of the issue is that people are seeing a proposal being passed in committee as this legally binding decision that is just absolutely going to happen. And it's just a motion. It's a motion to explore, to investigate, to discuss a particular issue. We have an opportunity later on, if we wanted to, we can have a town hall. We can have a public hearing on the matter. We can discuss it at the full board. So just because it was passed in the committee does not mean that we are forever bound to follow through with that particular motion and implement it 100%. We have opportunities for public input, and I think that was the plan. Yeah, that's all I want to say about that.
Well, I agree with you, Chair, Madam Chair. The whole point is that it's becoming, I don't know, in a sense, what I'm trying to say is this. Another motion was done when it comes, for example, about daylighting or a letter of support and so on and so forth. It was proposed, it passed the committee, it passed very fast at the board, but yet again, nobody saw how it and how much it would have impacted the community. Then Ryan, he's the OG of the proposal, later on stated that, it might happen that we're going to lose about 500 parking spaces. But 500 parking spaces, how? When? To whom? Where? So it was just mentioned like that, and that's it. And then when the chair of the committee found out, says, "Oh, so you cannot rush into the motions just because of the desire of another person. You cannot rush because of somebody like to bike, but yet again, it's a bunch of other people that saying, hey, you have enough biking lanes, you have enough way now how to travel. You're almost equal to us driving, because even the driving is going to be reduced to 10 miles an hour soon, 15 miles an hour. So almost everybody's going to push the cars instead of driving. So nothing is taken under consideration. You cannot rush. The whole point is about you cannot rush just because somebody proposes.
All right, thank you, Chris.
If you propose something, back it up with documentation.
Yeah, understood. Let's move on. I think, so motions not on committee agendas. We know what the legal rules state. We'll have a gallery session later. We can chat more about that, unless folks on the committee have more to say on it.
No.
No? Okay. Moving on. Point number 6.
Since I made the complaint, I should be able to respond.
No, we're going down the agenda. Okay, let's wait till the gallery session, please. Thank you. CB11 bylaws. Committee chair elections is subsection A. Cynthia, did you want to say a little bit about that?
Well, we have been doing the committee chair elections. One of the things that Jeremy and I discussed earlier today is that the bylaws are clear about the committee chairs being elected by the committee, not the co-chairs. So that's something that needs to be clarified in the bylaws, fleshed out a little bit more. Jeremy, did you have anything else on that?
No, it's actually clear. That what it was is, when are we doing, like, remember there was a proposal earlier this year to do it around April or May or June, where, we didn't think that was feasible given everything that happens in the spring and early summer months, whether it's our elections for officers or it is reappointments or appointments. So the idea that we're pushing each committee, with the exception of leadership, because leadership is special, is that we're pushing each committee this September to recertify or elect new chairs. So that's one thing. I mean, there's lots of things in the bylaws that, Cynthia and I have talked about over the course of time that need to be tweaked. I can point out specifics if that's helpful, or I can just leave it as that for right now.
I think we're gonna hold off.
Is that
I think we have to study this, right? We have to study this a bit more, so I think not going into details prudent for this meeting.
Yeah, the only reason there were more details on the agenda is because I know when Cynthia spoke to Sandy, she wanted specifics. But I have a working document on what should be changed with the bylaws, in our opinion so far.
Okay, bylaws is still gonna exist, so we could definitely work with them on this, right? Okay. So item number B, I don't know if we're gonna get into it, but another rule would be 72-hour written or oral election statement. That's something we had a little controversy during our elections during the spring, so we'll flush that out with bylaws. And any other suggestion and tweaks, if you guys want to make any changes or suggest anything, come to bylaws and pitch them, and we'll flush them out there. But for now, these are like the themes that we're working with for the bylaws this upcoming season. Any questions, comments from the committee? Okay, moving on to gallery session. Yeah, I think 2 minutes is it. Jeremy, do we have a list?
Last I checked, last Chris checked, we don't have any registered. I'll check again right now. But you might as well tap call Ms. Delgado while I look.
Well, we're gonna.
First of all, we're gonna go in the room.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what we do. We do the reference. All right.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Rich, just state that I'm doing the 2 minutes.
Yeah, so we're gonna do 2 minutes. If you need more time, you can ask, and then we'll vote for it here amongst ourselves, but it's gonna be 2 minutes. All right, we're gonna start with the room. Bob?
First, I want to give you a point of information
Go for
before I speak about what you had about the motions. All right? A motion can be made, but it has to be made to, first you got to amend the agenda for that motion. And if that passes, then you can add that motion to the agenda.
We didn't,
That's the rules.
that wasn't what we got heard from our ethics and committee.
You'll see when you check with the borough president's office, that's what you'll hear.
All right, we'll do that
Okay,
then.
now,
You ready? You ready?
yeah. I have an email dated August 23rd, 2024 from the Borough President Office stating Community Board appointment letter addressed to Chair of Community Board 11 and District Manager. Bronx Borough President commented on my Facebook page, look at the body of the email, but it does not apply to me since I was not a member of Community Board 11 last year. And I didn't want to embarrass her office by not showing it up that they made a mistake. In speaking with the Borough President on September 8th, he said I would receive another response, which as of today, September 19th, I have not. A board member disclosed some of the information in the body of the email, which if I'm not on the board was confidential. And the VP said her office did not give out the information. It was addressed to the chair of the board and the district manager, she said. So who leaked out the confidential information would be either the chair or the district manager. It does not matter if I'm a board member, of which I still don't know. If I'm not a board member, it is a different story. By the way, when I spoke to Mayor Adams about this, he said the new board member who asked, what does a community board do? Eric said to me that you should nurture that and take that person under your wings so that they can learn the full scope of what a community board is doing. That cannot happen if I'm not on the board. Maybe that is why the borough president hasn't answered me yet. And the chair has taken me off as a community committee member because I'm a community board 11 member now. So if I'm not on the community board, Madam Chair, who leaked the information, you or the district manager?
We don't know.
Which was the confidential information that was leaked?
There was a posting also on there that the reason that I was not reappointed, that one, by a board member.
No, what I'm asking you is what was the confidential information that was leaked?
Well, you have the same information that you received.
You have the email that they sent you?
Yeah.
Then you got appointed to the board?
Yeah. Now, if I'm not on the board, that's confidential, Harry. And that should not have gotten out. Here's what was leaked out.
So shouldn't this be a complaint? Should this really be handled here? I mean, shouldn't it be I think if you're really concerned about this, you should file a complaint, Mr. Press.
Yeah.
Or a complaint.
A president who was supposed to get back to me.
Okay. I mean, Cynthia, what do you think?
I agree. In the meantime, I think, going through the ethics committee and filing an ethics complaint would be step one.
That's not what she said. She said the leak came from either the chair of the board or the district manager, who were on there as the trustees.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about this if you want, but again, I think if you're really serious about this, file a formal complaint.
Agreed.
This board doesn't have the power to rule on it. It would have to go into a court of law, if anything.
Once again, file the complaint and then we'll have to follow up.
Right, I'll ask the borough president to follow up again.
Who's next?
Somebody here, John, you want to talk now? No? No. You got on? You want to talk?
No, I'll wait till my time. So then go online.
Yeah.
Yep. Roxanne, the floor is yours.
Yes, regarding the Parks Committee, that was not the same. The only motion that I know that passed was asking for Parks to provide more information on the project they presented to the board. It doesn't impact anyone in any manner except for to provide more information on the project that the Parks Department proposed. So whoever made that complaint is just trying to create problems because of this complaint. Now, regarding transportation, there was no discussion or exploration or research or all the community input. There was nothing. There was nothing listed on the agenda. Just because you found a loophole to do something doesn't mean you should do something. To propose a major capital project with no notice, nor was it ever discussed prior to that meeting. On the new business, that's why it's on the new business. It was discussed last in June or before then. It would have been old business. It was new business. Someone who doesn't live in that community in Pelham Parkway, nor has any contribution, nor reflects the demographic, decides to propose bike lane on the service road, Pelham Parkway North Side, with no community support. Because usually when you bring something to the board, the first thing the board will ask you is, do you have petitioning? Do you have some support to show this is something the community asks for that actually lives there? So because you found an loophole to say, oh, we could do it, so we'll do it. That's not what read the city charter. What's the purpose of a community board? It's called community. It's not what a board member wants or their agenda to override the majority or basically all the residents who actually live here and propose something without their notice or much
30
less
seconds.
their.
30
One
seconds.
second. I know you know this time thing. I'm trying to say something very important. You try to shut me down right away because you don't
You
want
can
to
ask
hear
one
what I'm
more
saying.
time, Roxanne. You can ask one more
Everybody
time.
has. My press went over 2 minutes and you didn't shut him down. I didn't hear you saying 30
Ask one
minutes,
more
30
time.
seconds. But the point is that this is a major complaint. The people in this community were not going to like when they made public how one board member who doesn't live here or reflect the demographic decided to propose a motion with no notice in advance, and that there was no discussion done, there was no exploration done, and
Yeah.
they say, oh, but the full board really didn't vote on it, but it doesn't matter because how then, without knowledge, any board member can propose anything without any community support or notice? This is outrageous. Anyone who hears about this, and believe me, they'll hear about this tonight, will be outraged that someone on the board who doesn't live here nor sort the community input to say, well, I want to propose a bike lane here. What do you guys think about? And people say yes, no. Then that would have been done in a community manner that the community board should function as. But to do
All
this in a very underhanded, devious manner really shows how you're working against this community, especially against a marginalized community. And for you to not to, I sent letter complaints with more details and just to say, oh, someone made
Okay.
So that's
Okay, so
because
yeah, I
of the
think
procedure. That was more about the
you.
procedure. It's a lack of respect.
I'll say this. I think the member of the transportation committee said they moved the voting to next month, right? To October is what I heard. So I don't think they pushed that vote through. Am I wrong?
I haven't heard anything because I've been sending emails, no response. And I'm hearing like you want to, oh, we could do it, so let's do it.
Hold on, Roxanne. I'm getting a clarity.
So
Cynthia?
the motion did pass in committee to look into putting these bike lanes in. I understand Ms. Delgado's concerns, and as soon as they were brought up via email, we had discussions about whether or not we should push it back to October. My rationale at this point is that pushing it back to October doesn't change anything. We should have an opportunity between now and whenever to move forward with perhaps a public hearing or a town hall so that we can get that community input. There would be no need to get community input if we didn't have a proposal to begin with. Does that make sense?
No,
Well,
because the
where is
proposal
my-
was made by a board member. It was not made by a community member and the board member that doesn't reside in this community. And the thing is, the community didn't want it. Why? One, because he's on the board and he has an agenda and he proposed something on community that he doesn't reside in, gets his way.
In the.
Hold
Well,
on.
it should
All
have
right.
been
I
done
need
in
to
the
say
first
this. Hold
place.
on, Roxanne, before you go forward, Ryan lives in my building. He lives in this community. So I need that to stop. He lives
That's
in
not
my,
Palm Parkway North, though.
It literally is. So let's stop that right now. I need that to stop. All right. So
So if
Cynthia,
he
you
lives in
say
this community, why would he not even have the respect for people that live here to ask them what they think about and bring a petition to show this is something the community wanted?
can we move on? Thank you.
Can I just?
Go
say
for it.
something? At this full board meeting, we can vote this to table it. And then we can have the public hearing, we can have a town hall. Just because it's going to the full board meeting doesn't mean that it's going to be voted on or passed. So at that time, we can hear from the public and we can make a motion to have this tabled. So that way we have more time to do what we need to do to get public input.
Usually when something's proposed to a committee, it's either done by agency or it's done by a community member, a community resident who with petitions or showing some kind of support. Not just some board member just say, I want this, and it gets passed with no discussion, no exploration, and no notice to the community. And now you say, oh, just organize the people. Like people have all the free time to come to meetings anytime you want them to when you propose something with no notice or no community input. Do you understand
Can
the
vote,
procedure
we
you're
can
making?
discuss at the full board meeting. We can discuss at the
Full
full
board
board
doesn't
meeting.
go for it because you guys all go along with each other. You never stand for what is
I don't know
right.
what you want to do, and then you need to change the rules, okay? Can we move on, please?
But in the rules were changed because usually in the committee, the
No,
rabbi, anything will ask for a petition. It will never be done just without no petitioning or
Keep
no
going, Roxanne. I'm gonna
discussion.
have to kick you out the meeting if you keep going.
There was no
I muted everybody. You're muted, Rich.
Miguel, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to make a couple points. First of all, I actually am a member of the community and I do support the motion for the bike lane. And I also understand that this, that this issue will be discussed at full board. We're going to have galleries. So, it's not done. I get that. Secondly, I really, really take offense to the assertion that that the member of the committee that brought up the motion does not reflect the demographics of the community. I think that it's incorrect, and it reeks of racism. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel.
All right, Diana.
Yes, hi. So, on the motion in the transportation meeting, I thought that it said that they wanted to ask the DOT to study the feasibility of a bike lane. And I think that the entire board has to be a lot more careful about motions. And when you make a motion and vote on it, you have to agree on the explicit wording of the motion. And it has to be written down. And then the motion, according to the instructions that we got from the state authority on open meetings law on Monday, the motion has to be written out in the agenda, and any supporting records or documents have to be made available at least 24 hours before the meeting where the motion is going to be discussed. And also, bike lanes on Pelham Parkway North have been discussed numerous times at previous meetings when we were talking about the Pelham Parkway Greenway. There was a lot of discussion, why don't we move the bikes to Pelham Parkway North, or at least the westbound bikes? So to say that it's never been discussed by the board before is just not accurate. The Parks Committee motion is really lacking in any kind of documentation, and it was very vague and rushed as well. There was a FOIA request. What specifically was the FOIA request? There was a response from the Parks Department to the FOIA request. What was the specific
30 seconds, Diana.
I asked at the Parks Committee meeting about the response and the details of the FOIA request, and I just got the brush off. So again, I think the board has to just be a lot more careful, and according to the open meetings law instruction that we had, when motions are made, write them out very clearly and specifically. And if motions refer to documents or any kind of written material, supply the written material.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, appreciate it. Ryan, you still want to go?
It was never
Yeah,
discussed, by the way.
the big thing that I wanted to say was just in response to what Diana said. That's, if you'll remember back to last year with the daylighting that Chris brought up, I brought that up in February and March and April and May and mentioned it a few times to try and generate this kind of discussion. And this one, that was sort of my idea as well, that I was going to mention it. And then if there was support, I don't want to mention it and then everyone say, no, this is the worst idea ever. Don't bring it up. I'm not going to write out a draft motion to bring if everyone thinks it's a terrible idea. And then Rabbi said, well, let's just go ahead and vote on it. And I kind of, I went along with it. We do have a draft now. And again, as Diana mentioned, it has been brought up a number of times by other folks who, I assume live in the community as much as I do, right? I don't know where they're from any more than anyone else knows where I'm living. But anyway, the chair and co-chair of the committee, as well as at least two other members, have all expressed, and the president of the board, the chair of the board, have all expressed support to discuss it in October. So, and I'm happy to do that too. This is not something that's going to happen next week. We're just asking DOT to look at something, and who knows if that'll ever happen. So, thank you.
The motion was
Thank
to
you,
send
Ryan.
letter support.
All right.
That's not
All
to
right.
look into, letter support, big
you.
difference.
I think that's all for the gallery. Okay, we're gonna move over to motions.
My question is,
Yep.
they did a motion to put bike lanes on Palm Parkway North or no bike lanes?
I don't know what the motion was, to be honest. I wasn't at the meeting. I
Ryan.
think yeah, go ahead, Ryan. What was the motion? Folks want to know what the motion was.
Was it for bike lanes or no bike lanes?
For a bike on Pelham Parkway North. So I don't know if you know Pelham Parkway North from Stillwell to Williamsbridge is no standing anytime on the south side. We had so many community members expressing concern about the high traffic on the Greenway. That seems to me the best place to get some of that wheeled traffic off of the Greenway, where people are walking, kids are playing, people are running and exercising, and people on bikes and mopeds and scooters are trying to get somewhere.
Right.
So we can move them over to this place that's already no standing anytime.
That'll work.
Then that, to me, seems easy. I also included, and this part I know is a lot more controversial, from Williamsbridge up to Bronxdale. That's in front of the school. And I've gone through there. I've gone through there at drop-off time. I've gone through there on the weekends. I've gone through there in the afternoon and the morning. There's never anybody parked in front of that school. So we got a DOE zone that doesn't get used. So I propose that we extend it to there. That one, like I said, I know that one's.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, so we'll talk about that in October, if not later at leadership. Moving on to motions. I believe we have one motion on the table. I'm gonna call it if everyone's ready. Veronica, you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, so the motion is to disband all non-standing committees except bylaws. Those committees are City of Yes, DEI, Social Media, and Nominating Committee.
Second.
Right. Anyone opposed? Or abstaining? Right, so moved. So that passes. So for the record, let the record reflect that once we write the minutes.
Thank you.
All right, any other motions? I think that's it, right? Okay. Moving on to old business. I don't think we have. Cynthia, do you have anything for old business? Jeremy?
Do have something for old business for us to explore or consider. With this, so far this term, what I've noticed is trying to get committees to meet. I know sanitation was an issue. What was it? Public safety, I think, didn't have a quorum. And in the past, we've discussed combining some committees, the creation of a municipal services committee. So I want us to explore that once again.
So sanitation's alone now?
Sanitation right now has three members, Avril Jr. and Wendy.
Can we combine them with transportation?
We've discussed that in the past and it kind of fell through the wayside, so I think it might be a conversation that we should pick up
I
again.
think so, but then there won't be fruitless meetings like, in the past.
Cynthia, just a reminder, the combination of transportation and sanitation, transportation committee did not want it to happen.
That's what it was.
That's why it's been brought up
Who
a
did-
couple of times, but I think it was the chair and co-chair both said that they were not in favor. And I think they took a vote, but don't quote me on that 100%. I think they took a vote and it was voted down.
But you override that?
No, it has to be built by the community board.
Body.
But I think it's a good idea to bring it up again. Because I agree with you, we gotta get these committees to be able to meet. Sanitation, transportation, all those types of committees are really important, because even if we don't have a guest, people may have issues that they need to bring forward, and they may not be able to make it to the full board. So these committee meetings are important for them to be able to attend and voice their concerns. So I agree with you 100%.
Any other old business?
So Cynthia, I don't know if this is old business. We were talking about moving around the full board meeting. I think it's been brought up in the past.
Yes,
So, yeah, we're looking at moving the meetings. I'm going to try to arrange some site visits with the recording company, because obviously when we move outside of the CB11 office, we need the recording company. So I know the only viable location that we haven't been to yet in recent memory that does work technologically is the Bronx House. If there are any other locations, let us know and we will add them to the list. Oasis is on the radar. But again, I got to meet with the recording company for that. We want to consider Eastchester Gardens. If there's any other locations, please let us know.
Oh, I know what he's talking about, moving the work around.
Yeah.
Okay,
Holding
yeah,
the full board
Not-
meeting
not
in
in one
different
place,
areas of
different-
community board.
that
11.
sounds good, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else for old business? Okay, moving on to new business. Anything new? Okay.
Yeah, no. So
Yeah.
what was, again, supposed to be on the agenda there was a proposal to create an interfaith committee. I don't know if you want to pull that up, or, I mean, I can send that out to the entire board.
Let's see if I can.
At this point, that's probably what's best anyway.
Well, it's not a thing.
Well, the full board will have to vote on it, so yeah, we should send it out. for the
Yeah,
Full board
I
meeting.
can.
But I
don't
think we
have it.
should also see what's the interest.
Do you-
Um,
I read the proposal. I have a question.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this fall under culture, like education, culture and youth services? Like, wouldn't the faith and culture kind of combine into that one committee? And there's mentioned that it would be run by one committee, one board member, and the rest would be community board members. And do we really want to put that kind of responsibility on one board member that could affect the full board? I don't, because regular community members don't necessarily have to go by the same rules that we do. So do we really want to put that onus on the full board?
I mean, yeah, it can be handled in culture currently. I know that committee, even though I've always tried to get to think outside of the box, generally handles school issues, but that's a great place in the meantime. Cynthia, you were going to say something?
so no, the only thing I was going to say is that I know that there has been a growing movement to kind of embrace our faith brothers and sisters, et cetera, in the community. And I do think that the idea behind it being a standalone committee works better than being tied to education and culture. Although I see your point, Veronica. That was my initial thought as well. Just informally, I will say that I've spoken to a couple of people, other board members that I've run into here and there. And there seems to be interest in it. So I'll leave it at that. It wouldn't fall on one person, just judging from the people that I've spoken to who are like, oh my God, that would be great. So.
I do agree that it's something that we should be more focused on, not just, what we do now. And again, like Jeremy said, education, culture, that they should be expanding their view on what they need to do. It's not just an educational committee. My other concern is that we are having issues right now with quorum still and being able to hold committee meetings. Do we really want to put another one on right now that may stretch the resources that we have when it comes to committee members, when it could be put under another committee that's already there?
And we have a comment here. We're gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Perez is the proposer of the proposal.
I'm not the proposal. I am the individual that was called upon and designated by several members of the faith community to put it together. They know that I write pretty good proposals and I can address certain things. I do it when I'm passionate about it. Don't call me because you want something.
Thank you. So for clarification, it's the author of the proposal.
Right.
Okay.
And this falls directly in line with the mayor's interfaith council, and it also falls in line with the borough president's interfaith council and the direction that they're going in. We also have members in Co-op City who live in this neighborhood also who want to interact with other members of this community. You have a huge mosque that's going up. You have another Baptist church that's going to open up pretty soon down the block. So I've reached out to them. They're very interested. And it's just to engage them further to see what components do they need from the community. And we understand that it does fall under culture. It does fall under education. It does fall under a lot of blankets. The direction that they want to take is that they want to implement the interfaith committee and work in conjunction with all of those different committees and somehow come together and bring it all together. Because I mean, it's very difficult. You've been in the position, you guys have been here. It's very difficult to communicate across the board when cultures collide. And when cultures collide, we have indifferences, not in my community, this is my neighborhood, that's my block or whatever. So yeah, and we're seeing it in the interfaith, in the different religious organizations out here. So we want to bring them together and we want to talk together. Co-op City is doing a fantastic job, but some.
They have that committee over there?
They have a huge, but it's not an interfaith. Ward 11 would be the first one to have an interfaith committee, and it should be the model and the direction that every other community board is going to take. And that's what we intend to do, is to bring everybody together, because there's an increasing faith community coming up here, and we want to make sure that we incorporate them instead of looking for them when there's a problem. We want to incorporate them and create those solutions, and that's what I'm here for. The proposal in itself, it's descripted as brief, but there's a lot of more dialogue to it. I just thought that it would be a lot of stuff to do. We are pushing a narrative of Peace December coming this December. So we're going to bring the Peace December to Community Board 11.
Can you clarify what Peace December is?
Peace December is when you have different faith groups that don't celebrate Christian Christmas. They feel left out. The Muslims, they feel left out. The Catholics, it's a Catholic thing, right? So we want to include everybody. So instead of saying happy holidays, which I understand, Christmas is Christmas. December 25th is Christmas. That is Christian Day, or the Catholic Day. So Peace December is bringing them all together under one blanket as Peace December, to incorporate all religions, specifically in this community. We want to incorporate this into the schools to let them know what Peace December means to them. and have them, Peace December has a story. It has a story behind it. We were talking to the people in Chancellor's office, but you know how that went. We're gonna go and address it again. We may just jump into the school district board to have them work with the schools in this neighborhood to really emphasize Peace December. Out of every month out of the year, December is the one that we want to designate as Peace December. It's already been done in Ward 9 with Sheikh Musa Grame. He's practically the author of it. Daylight is also Sheikh Musa Grame. He's very well supported by the mayor and the borough president's office. He's been doing this for a long time. I was an original member of it, and now it's big. Hey, John, we want you to finish. Yeah, Bob, but this is my time. So Peace December is something that we want to really come out with the interfaith committee and work with them. We have a short period of time, and everything that we do subsequently, month by month, up until that December again, is all driven towards Peace December, which is the reduction of crime, to reduce crime, information awareness, go into the neighborhoods where a lot of people don't like going and talking over there, and holding these committees, holding these meetings in those committees, and let them know that we're here. And if they don't want to talk to you, they're going to talk to us.
I have a question. Have you brought this or considered bringing it to the 49 Facing Clergy Council? Because they have a mixture of different religious leaders.
Yeah. But Community Board 11 doesn't.
You want to bring it here?
So once we bring it here, then you see how we band together. They have their agenda, they have their mission, they have their goals, they have their bylaws, they have their whole criteria is down. I was just more inclusive.
Yeah.
Oh, he could put it down.
No, you can pull it down. We go out to the front. It's
That's
fine.
close. Maybe that.
I could have sworn.
Oh.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I gotta go
No,
open
I'm
the
just
front.
opening it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how to
Oh,
open-
I see what you're saying.
Yes, go for it.
So I
Larry's
have
gonna
a
open it.
question.
No, Larry,
No,
go
the
for
other
it.
way, the other way, thanks.
Because the gate is down
gate
in the
is
front,
down.
so you gotta go out. Sorry, we're about to be locked in the office.
I think that's a good idea.
Well, I mean, I appreciate this a lot, and so I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna talk about this at the full board, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me
What's the di-
wrong,
yeah.
I like the idea of it. I told you my concerns was just the ability for the board to do it, but the actual interfaith committee thing, I do like that. I do like the idea of bringing all the different religious leaders and religious members together to form, a committee that we can work together, because like you said, CB11 is big. My only concern, which I voiced already, is just how CB11 can be part of it, because in your proposal, and correct me if I'm wrong, it said one CB11 board member and the rest would be community members.
That might have been a typo. It's okay. We need every CB11 to be part of the interfaith committee. I'm not gonna restrict that to just one. We want as many people as we possibly can, because there's also cultural sensitivity training that we have. We have also teen cultural sensitivity training, and these are things that have been designed by scholars, and it's on a slide deck. It's probably something that I can send to you, and you can take it and be certified in it to understand, not to really have to dive into it, but to have an understanding on how to address certain issues that come up based off of that. And to understand the faith, we have Yom Kippur coming up, we have all of these other, and we have to take account. A lot of people make arrangements. Oh man, it was this religious holiday. We forgot about that or whatever. We're here to help. We're here to help, and we're here to help wholeheartedly. When everything in life fails, all we have is our faith. So we want to grab onto our faith, and we want to make this a success. So I'm pretty sure that once it's established, people are going to magnetize to it, because we have several individuals who are scholars that work out here. Just because you see them out here working in a cab, that's probably their third job. These people are scholars in their own country, and you talk to them and they know They know that they don't really understand our customs yet fully. But if we don't deal with the situation now, we're gonna have to deal with the subculture later. And we want to be able to create a roadmap to success. And that roadmap starts here in CB11.
Okay, so
Like Rich said,
I think, yeah, we'll bring it up, we'll put it on the agenda for the full board meeting. We'll discuss and we'll see what we'll do next steps. I already have ideas for tweaks.
John, I hope you'll be available to come to. the
Hopefully, yeah.
full meetings on the
Or send someone or dial in.
I'm in.
Just one thing I wanted to mention, can you all hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
One of the things that we are entrusted with as community board members, as per, as indicated in the city charter, is that one of our responsibilities is extensive outreach. And I think that an interfaith committee would be an excellent opportunity to do extensive outreach through our faith communities. We know how powerful our faith communities have been with all sorts of issues throughout, not just our district, just the country in general. So just wanted to throw that out there.
And remember also, there's a lot more people that aren't members of the community board that are just residents of this community who are going to be participating in it. So the numbers are going to amplify. And the resources that we need help doing one thing or the other, they're going to amplify because they want to create this. They want to make this thing happen. And they're very, very interested in it. I got tasked with it, but don't shoot the messenger. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it at the full board and.
Sign up for the gallery, so you'll
Yeah.
have at least 2 minutes
Any-
to just say
Yeah.
everything you can about it, and then I'm sure that you'll be asked questions so you could elaborate on it. But just so that you have a window where you can actually propose more of this information to the rest of the full board.
And if you could send it in before the full board meeting? Yeah, okay, good. So then we can have it beforehand so we could not have folks.
You received it.
Oh, you emailed it?
Okay.
Yeah,
No, I
you-
sent it in
email.
to.
Oh, okay, okay, we'll get it afterwards. All right, very good. So looking forward to that. the
I know I
discussion.
got it.
Can I get the questions ahead of time?
Yeah, I think if,
Yeah.
right?
Good luck with that.
Like, as you can see, this is
You're
not.
asking, you know.
I know, right, I know,
I
right?
just thought I'd shoot it.
Okay, cool, thank you. I
All right,
think,
thank you.
that concludes our meeting. I'm gonna motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right, so moved. Meeting adjourned at 7:08 PM. We'll take a 5-minute break. All right.
We probably have people